Of course, we do have the NAICS codes, the North American Industrial Classification System code. You could certainly break it down by zip code, sales volume, or number of employees. As you can see, physicians and surgeons, because they're all 1099 guys and gals, they take up the top slot at over 3,741 of those businesses, followed by restaurants, attorneys, nurse practitioners, dentists, insurance. And notice we also have automated teller machines. I have the ability, and I'll show you where that's at, to omit anything. So if you didn't want to see automated tellers, or maybe you didn't want to see attorneys, you could certainly forego them and not have that show up in your list. You can print this or make it part of a PowerPoint presentation, and then we do give you a complete breakdown. As you can see in this example, it's 112 pages in length. So we give you that SIC code that they're under, along with their description, and then how many records apply. If I wanted to get to just this group of insurance records, I could just hyperlink right to this group if that were something that I wanted to perhaps review. So know that you can do a lot of work inside these charts if you would certainly like to. I want to switch this up for just a moment, and I'll display the number of employees. We can't help but hear about the effects that this virus has had on certainly all of the businesses across the United States. This gives you a breakdown. So in my community, almost 60% of the businesses employ 1 to 4 employees, followed by 5 to 9, 10 to 19, you get the idea. So it gives that breakdown. Granted, I'm looking at all types of businesses, so if you were looking maybe at 2 or 3 or 4 specific industries, you could get the same kind of breakdown with that information. Again, this can be printed off or made part of a PowerPoint presentation. So know that you have access to that tool, and it's available in most of the modules. I'm going to revise my search. And instead of doing a simple city search, I'm going to do the advanced search. And by the way, additional filters goes to the same place. Advanced search. And then then it's a matter of defining on this left-hand column what filters I want to use to produce my records. We will always give you company name, but this option, unlike what we saw in the quick search, this option will allow you to buy business name. So if I wanted to see IBM in my list and I wanted to see maybe Starbucks in my list, I could certainly create that unique list based on what my needs are, and then select my geography and only get those particular businesses. So know that you can certainly do that, but otherwise we'll always give you company name. We'll always give you this executive information as well, but maybe as part of your sales process or your needs, maybe you need to speak with certain types of executives. And as you can see, you can make a number of selections. If I wanted the chief executive officer, if I wanted the owner, I could certainly just key that in and it will jump to that definition, and then I could select that. So if you have that need by title, you could certainly do that. Otherwise, we'll always give you whatever we have available for those executive selections. Most people are doing a simple keyword search. Doesn't necessarily matter as long as it's a type of industry. Major industry group, this is all SIC codes, and it starts off with their 2-digit, and then it breaks it down into 4 and eventually 6. So that's a great way to also, if I wanted some information in regards to construction and I only wanted general contractors, I could get to just that universe. And you can see how granular this becomes. In fact, when Uncle Sam was managing these SIC codes, they only went to 4. We added 2 more so that you could get that much more specific. So if you just needed contractors that build carports, you could get to that kind of information. So that's always available to you as well. Geography pretty much speaks for itself. I will show you this map-based search tool. This is in all of our databases. And we also have certainly all this phone information. Maybe you only wanted to see companies that had toll-free numbers. You could make that one of your drivers. You could use the number of employees. That's one of the most important questions that we're asking of businesses when we make our verification phone calls. How many employees do you have? About 72% of the businesses will give us an exact number. You know, we've got 7 or we've got 24. Those that don't provide us that information, we look at their peers based on the type of industry that they're in, and then we'll apply a range. So know that if you see an exact number on a record, we got that from our phone call. If you see a range, they chose not to give that to us. And as it relates to sales volumes, unless it's a publicly traded company, that's not information that we're getting from the business. We learned a long time ago, you don't ask us small business how much they're making and perhaps have that phone call end rather abruptly. So we have a team that puts together an algorithm that supports this information based on type of business, how long they've been in business, where they're physically in business at, and as well as the number of employees that they have. And then we also get some information through the Bureau of Labor and Statistics in order to produce that algorithm. So the sales volume and the business expenditures here, those are both algorithms. We'll always provide this information in regards to ownership. If in fact home-based businesses were something that you wanted to see separately, you could make that your designation and then only look at home-based businesses in whatever geography you might select. Or perhaps you wanted to exclude those. Know that you could do either. If you choose nothing, they'll always be presented to you in your records based on the type of business. We have certainly this financial data, so that would be certainly queryable. Business expenditures, this has been added as a queryable field probably within the last 6 to 10 months, I would say. And certainly if you wanted to look at businesses, you know, maybe I have an accounting firm and I want to go out and generate some more business. I could come in and look at these ranges and then select those companies by range based on what I would like to perhaps try and market my services to. So know that you could certainly use that as a tool to filter.
Bill?
Yes.
Could we just see if everybody's following along or if anybody needs help at this point before we move any further forward?
Absolutely.
Does anybody have any questions that they need for Bill? Just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. If not, we'll move forward. All right, let's move forward.
Excellent. And what county are you all in?
Frederick.
Frederick. Okay, we're going to use some Frederick examples here. So let me finish out with the special selects. Obviously, you could pull up just businesses that have web addresses or without, businesses that may use certain social sites or links. Professionals, all are one. We added this to the database as a filter because we were told that not necessarily in all cases did a person maybe putting together a mailing list want to be able to reach every doctor in a doctor's office or every attorney in an attorney's office. So if you would prefer to have it one per versus all per, you could certainly switch that up and then you'll see fewer records because you won't get every attorney in that office, just the primary as we know it. So that is available. And then we have oodles of ways here by which you could certainly omit information. I showed you in my community, we have a lot of those ATMs. So if I didn't want that included in my search, I could simply put in the ATM and then search for that particular SIC code / definition. I could add that to my selected field, and then whenever I do my geography and my other selects, I'll never see automated tellers come up in my results. We also have kiosks, so if that would be something you would want to perhaps filter out, you could certainly do that. Let's do this. I'm going to pull up a simple search. We're just going to use restaurants because there are always so many restaurants around. And we'll go Frederick. So across the county, there are a total, this is my total universe of verified businesses. We do have unverified records. Those would be businesses that we weren't able to get either re-verified or maybe verified at all when we got the business filing. And then, of course, our closed, that speaks for itself. So this is my total number of restaurants across the county that are verified. Now, notice I'm searching all SIC codes. Watch when I change it to primary. Watch when I change it to primary. What? I've not seen that one happen. Ah, I did see that happen. Let me do this. Why did that get kicked out of there? Just when you thought it was a good day to go out and do something technical. There it goes. Okay. And I'll leave that. So why is that? I have Frederick. This is the correct county, correct? Yes, okay.
Yes, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
I think I have poltergeist happening here. When in doubt, you can always go back, and I'm in doubt with that number. So I'm going to come back here, go to my advanced. I may have left something plugged in from earlier. So let's double check. And my restaurants. And I'm going to change, I'll leave that for now. Let's see, 137.
Huh.
Is that kind of, it seems low to me. I know that if we were looking in my county, I have almost 2,000.
I saw something that said Fredericksburg.
I didn't select that though.
Oh, okay.
Should I have?
No.
Should I?
No.
No, okay. So that's
Try
why.
Winchester City.
Winchester City, okay.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of the county altogether. And I'll just say Winchester City and go. And that is spelled correctly, right?
Or would it be City of Winchester?
Oh, City of Winchester?
I'm not sure how it would come up on your database.
Or maybe just Winchester.
Yeah, let's try
Or just
Winchester.
Winchester.
Your Frederick count was probably correct because most of our restaurants are in cities in the county.
Right, but those cities should have been included in my county search. That's why I did the entire county. That is odd. I want to check something because I know what my count is here in my county. I want to see if there's something occurring here because that seems awfully low.
Yeah, Virginia's a little bit different than a lot of different states. The cities are actually not included in the county. like in other
Oh,
states.
really?
Yeah, so it's like Winchester's a standalone place and Frederick County's a standalone place. Unlike a lot of other states that the cities count within inside of the counties.
See, and
And we serve Frederick County, Clark County, and Winchester.
oh, let's do all three then. Let's do that. Okay. Because I need more numbers than what I was getting in order to be able to. So let's do.
Yeah, Clark County ought to have 3.
Clark County only has 3 restaurants?
We might have 4 now, John.
Yeah, it might have 4, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just assumed it was a little denser population.
Yeah, they're really good ones.
So Frederick, Clark.
And it's Clark with an E.
Yep.
There you
yep,
go.
They have that. Yep.
And Winchester.
Winchester. Okay.
There you go.
Now I'm going to see. I've got my restaurant selected. Okay. Well, that must be correct then. I just thought I expected a higher number there. Is there another neighboring county that I could pull in for this next example? I'd like over 300 records.
Try Fairfax
Front Royal.
County.
Fairfax. Oh, wow. Yeah, that really added to the total. Okay. So notice when I'm searching all, I'm getting the 2,400. And when I switch it up to search only SIC primary, then it drops it down to that 2,000. And so it's getting rid of businesses like bowling alleys that have a restaurant in there, or movie theaters that offer a dining experience. It's getting rid of all those. Let's go into this list. So I've got my 2028 results. I can download these if I would like. And it notes down here at the bottom of the page, you can download or print 250 at a time. So that would be 10 pages. If you wanted everything, you would select this empty box next to company name and then use this toggle to advance. So you can keep going up to page 10. We'll pretend that I'm there at page 5. Then it's a matter of simply selecting that download option. We do give you this comma delimited, which tends to get used the most because people that are making mailing labels, this is certainly friendly as it relates to that. Summary, which is going to include the name of that business, their address, some additional filters like who that owner or manager is, their title, how many employees they have, sales volumes, their line or lines of business, etc. So I would suggest opening up your own version of Excel, because my pages are all static, so you'd have to save them independently, 10 at a time. So if you want, you could have your own open and simply come up here and grab these, do a copy, and then paste them into your version of Excel, and then just minimize yours, close mine. It will leave you right here. You just select the word back. It leaves you on the page that you left off on. Then you just have to clear out these check marks. Easiest way to do that is revise search, because it doesn't forget how you built your search. And then you can view your results again. You're on page 1, all the check marks are gone. And then you just type in page 11 here and hit enter, and you're ready to go with your next group of records. So it is that, that user friendly, and you can do that as much as you need to get those results. So if I had 2,000 results that I wanted to be able to download, I'm going to be able to do that basically in 8 downloads. I can certainly print that if I would like, or as I mentioned earlier, you could save your search. So if you have already registered for an account, you can save those searches. And while we've got this corporate tree structure, notice I have the up arrow that will take me to only the subsidiary that would be responsible for all of these locations. If there's not a subsidiary, then it takes me to the ultimate parent. This gives me their entire breakdown. So ownership on down. So they're out of, oh, not too far away. They're in Maryland. So I've got that information. They only have just the parent company and then all of their branches. But you can get to all of that information. There's 42 of them, so you've gotten to all that information in one page here. So know that you can get to that type of data really quickly. And if we open up their record, and this is going to be an example of how all the business records are going to be set up, it'll always give you this location information first. Here we've got their website, the social links that they use. If there were any job listings that Indeed had picked up on, they'd be listed here. We have that corporate tree information inside the record as well. So know you can get to that. We've got their industry profile. Their primary is that of a restaurant. We won't have a business profile on each branch, but on the parent most likely. We do work with Google, so we have Google Maps embedded in here. Certainly something that's printable, or you could certainly use that just like you would normally do with Google Maps. If you have a tendency to use your GPS to look up restaurants that might be near you or retail locations that might be near you, thank you very much for using our data. That's our data that Google displays. The management directory, we would have that listed there. Obviously, if it were the parent company, we're going to have more information regarding that management directory. Company news will either be about the industry or the business itself. We're getting this through Bing. So it has a number of articles that, as you can see, you can even go back in time here if you would like and look at older articles. And this updates on the fly. Won't have any stock data in this case because it's not publicly traded. We've got that business expenditure section, some historical information along with historical records. So in this particular branch at this location, we've got them going back to 2008. And when you want to open up any of these, what it does is it links you now to our U.S. historical businesses module and gives you access to all of those records. We do have a slide that runs across here. So if you wanted to go back further in time from this point, you could certainly do so as well. Just depends on what you need to be able to do. The historical tool, it can be a tremendous tool. I can always get back to my original list, and then I would have any UCC filings, perhaps, none reported there. Their nearby businesses, because we have the latitude and longitude embedded there. And then, of course, who their competitors are. And since we're looking at just restaurants, that's what we're going to see. So each and
Bill?
every, yes.
Thomas Wolf raised his hand and has a question.
Excellent,
Thomas, if you'd like to unmute yourself, you can talk with Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Just a quick question, and I apologize if you already covered this. Is it possible, and if you may be ready to cover this in the future, but is there a way to drill down in these businesses to differentiate between small and large businesses?
Well, there is in that. You can certainly look at it from the standpoint of number of employees, if that would be considered small or medium or large. You know, you have to make that determination. So you can use number of employees as it relates to that question, or location sales volume.
Cool. So would it be possible, for instance, to set up a search for businesses that make no more than $500,000 a year in location sales volume?
Absolutely.
Oh, perfect.
Yes. Yep.
Excellent.
Absolutely. I'll show you that here in just a second.
Sure. Thanks again.
You bet. Any other questions regarding the business records themselves? As I mentioned, this is atypical example of what all of our records are going to look like. You do have the ability, by the way, on any of our records, except for the jobs module, you do have the ability to communicate any kind of changes or enhancements that need to be made to a record. So let's imagine for a second that you knew this person that is the manager at this location, and you were having a discussion one day and they said, you know, we've got 35 employees. You could tell us about that. You can come right into this data feedback option and come right down here to the number of employees, put a check mark there, wipe out that range, put in that 35, and then you can simply send us an email. We'll send you an email immediately that we received your query, and we'll send you the disposition of the closure of that particular query within 7 to 10 business days. So any record can be altered. What that does is that then triggers a link back to our call team, and they'll make a phone call to validate that that number should be in fact 35. So each record is going to be set up just like this. I'm going to cheat and go back to page 1. And I want to show you. So we looked at the charts before when we looked at my entire community. Let's chart this. Now it doesn't give you that breakdown by SIC code because we're only looking at one SIC code. That's listed up here. It's going to give me city, zip code, sales volume, number of employees. And if I wanted to see the number of employees as it relates to all these restaurants, I could select that. And now notice 1 to 4 is not at the top of the list. In fact, it's down here in 4th place. So almost 50% of your area's restaurants employ 5 to 9 employees, followed by that 20 to 49, 10 to 19, and there's that group of 1 to 4. Now, as it relates to that sales volume question, there I can get to that group of less than 500,000 if I wanted to call on businesses, and I could just hyperlink right to this group of 1,210 records. So know that you can do that kind of movement within the charts. Of course, I can print this or make it part of a PowerPoint presentation. I know that lenders, I've done lots of these programs and have had lenders present as well, and they love to be able to see this kind of information simply because it gives them another view of that raw data that you see in the records. I can always get back. The other tool that I have is this heat map. This can be a tremendous tool as well. It'll show you the density of those locations across those areas that you provided me. So where you see the red, it's not a rainstorm. That is in fact a lot of restaurants in those areas. Where it's more yellow, fewer, green even less. And of course, if there's no restaurants there, you won't have any color. And notice you can even alter your map view. It does state up here that in the zoom, if you get to the point where it's fewer than 300, this is what will happen. I'll just see if I can't cheat and pull it over. Yes. So it begins to break them out by location. And I did that all without drilling in. Of course, if you wanted to drill in, it will start breaking those clusters apart. So know that you can get to that. And if you wondered what was here, you could select that and it will tell you, oh, you guys call them McDonald's. We call them the Big M Supper Club. That's what we used to take our girlfriends to for a Friday night dinner. You know, really impress the parents. So that's certainly something that you can do. And then, of course, we've got that breakdown by the zip codes in the area. So lots of different ways.
Sales volumes speak
I'm sorry?
a lot. those sales volumes for the franchise restaurants, they're pretty even.
Part of that's going to be those ranges based on some of those factors that could be very similar, like years in business, type of business, number of employees. So then you're going to see those similar ranges. Definitely. And I could change this up to sales volume or number of employees. Now, if it's a publicly traded company, we'll get that information obviously from their 10Ks. So know you can use the charts or the heat map in many of the modules. Let me show you one more tool, and then I want to show you the, we had the question, I'll throw in some sales ranges here. Let's throw in a couple of those here. We'll leave actually I'm going to take that out. I'll remove that. And instead, I'm going to use the map-based search tool. This can be a salesperson's favorite tool. I'll open this, and then I have to determine, do I want to, I could be putting in my business's address in this Zoom to, and then do a true radius around my location. I helped it's a chain restaurant out of Tennessee called Famous Dave's Barbecue, and they wanted to use the database to identify certain size businesses, and they were looking at employment size as their ranges. And what they were going to do is do a radius around each of their locations, and then have someone from the catering department contact those businesses to see if they couldn't earn their holiday business. So they didn't want too large a business or too small. What is a zip code in your area there?
22601.
I'll just say go. Obviously, I could put putting in a city, state, a county, state, a physical address. So there's my view. Now I have the ability to use different options here. I could draw my own shape. I could use a true radius. I have some predetermined boundaries. I could even create a drive route. So with the draw shape, you get to decide where in the world it should start. So let's actually, I'm going to cheat and back out just a little bit here so I can see a little more of the area. Okay. With the draw shape, you decide where you want to begin, and it's a single click to start it. So if you wanted to start over here, then you go in whatever direction you want. I'll come down here and I'll go over here, and that's going to be my shape. So then it will calculate how many businesses meet my criteria that are in that shape. And if that's all you needed, you would simply come up here to the right-hand corner and say done. And as you can see, I'm ready to present those 181 records. I also have the ability that I could omit something from within the shape. So if I wanted, maybe I wanted to omit this particular area. So of this 181, there are 69 in this shape. I can double click in that shape, and then I could exclude those, and that 69 will be deducted from that 181. So know that you can alter anything within something that you've created like this. I can do a true radius, and this true radius will go out, the maximum it will go is 150 miles. So if you wanted to, you could simply point, click, hold it, and then start to drag away. And you can see it starting to calculate how far out I've gone. So I'm already at like 5 miles right there. If that's all I needed, good, I'm done. I'm ready to go with that 148. years ago, when I covered the state of Tennessee, I helped the Chattanooga Chamber of Commerce do a snail mail to people that they wanted to invite to their river festival. And we used this very tool. We maxed it out at 150 miles. And what they wanted to do, they figured that if they had to travel at least 120, they would stay overnight and take advantage of their hotels and restaurants, etc. So we did this for them. We created a donut hole and we excluded the center, and then they did a mailing to this audience. So certainly an idea. Can use some predetermined boundaries. I'll better get a little closer for this. As large as the state, as narrow as a neighborhood, postal carrier routes. I'll just overlay the zip codes. Oh, you've got some large zip codes. So once I have my boundary up, I can click in any of these and get whatever number of records would apply to that particular zip code. If that's all I need, I can say done, and then I'll get those results. I better delete these. And I also have the ability, if a drive route, I helped a gentleman, and you can get back to the other tools by returning. I helped a gentleman in Wisconsin do this drive route. He was looking at certain manufacturers, and he knew that they'd be along the interstate system and probably within 2 or 3 miles of the on-off ramps. So we started in one community. I'll just do this example. I'll just use Omaha here. And ended about 125 miles away. And the buffered route that he wanted to use was 3, because he wanted to be able to go 3 miles north of the interstate and 3 miles south of the interstate to find these specific types of manufacturers. I'll just do 0.5 for a half a mile and then create my buffered route. It then takes me from whatever community I'm starting in to whatever community I'm ending in, and it tells me how many businesses. There's 168 here that match my criteria. In his case, there were only 18. And so then what he did was we said done, and then we viewed those results. And he actually wanted me to put them back on the heat map so that he could see where they were all located between those 2 cities. So it'll always start you out at the nation view, and you have to drill in using your plus symbol to start breaking them apart. And then what he was going to do is he was just going to go right down that interstate and start calling. He was going to have his laptop up in his truck, and he was just going to be going to each of those businesses right down that interstate. So now there's a lot of different ways that you can get to the data. And if you want, you could certainly print that off. Questions on the business records? Otherwise, I'd like to show you the consumer information for B2C marketing. Okay.
Anyone?
So here I am back at the home page. So our consumer lifestyles information, we're getting this from a variety of sources, like surveys that people have completed, warranty card information, motor vehicle like service changes that they've done at different dealerships. The memberships, I was not in the database when I first moved back into Omaha, and my dog became sick. I ended up being found as a dog lover because I signed up for a Petco Pals membership. So again, I'm going to come to a quick search page. I'm going to advance right to the advanced search, and I have, obviously, these are my filters. So let's do this. we'll do that county again. We'll do Frederick. I'm going to change it from showing all per household to one per household, and I'm going to select lifestyles. And if anybody works for, does maybe some volunteer work for any nonprofits, and if you're having maybe a fund drive or something like that, charitable donors, this could be a terrific tool to use. So as you can see, when you click on this plus symbol, it will give you either charitable donors or wildlife and environmental donors. So you could certainly select that. And then you've got your area, and of course I'm looking at the entire county, but you could do it by city, you could do it by a few zip codes, you can do it with any of these filters for geography. Let's update my count. So I have 6,353 charitable donors. And notice it mentions here, there is a scoring system involved. It's 0 through 9, but we will only show you records of people who score a 6 or higher. So this is what their records are going to look like. And notice right off the bat, we do give you this notice about some of these phone numbers that could be listed. Of course, there's not as many as in the old days, but some of those phone numbers could be on the do not call list. So you're responsible for the compliance with that. I can tell you that the do not call registry will do a certain number of area codes for free, and then they start charging. So know that you could certainly take advantage of that and get a clean list, so that you could, if you needed to call, you could do so. Here's what a record's going to look like. Obviously, we don't call verify this with Troy. In fact, we haven't seen enough that would indicate whether he may or may not be married. Been in this home for about 19 years. Here's some of that estimated information about the neighborhood that we're getting through the Census Bureau. And there are the lifestyle indicators. So we're looking obviously at charitable donors here, but we could, maybe we wanted to pull up dogs. If that were the case, he might not show up in the next search because he's not active enough. So if someone buys, maybe they stop at Petco every once in a great while to buy a treat or a toy or something like that, but they're getting their dog food predominantly at the grocery store, chances are we won't know about them as being a real active dog lover because they're not doing it, they're not shopping enough through that company. So that's how the record is always going to be set up. And we just added this tool. I'm going to revise my search. We just added this tool, gosh, 3 weeks ago now. So I've got charitable donors. Maybe I'm doing a program, and I also need to know about dog lovers. I'm doing something with AKC.
Hey, Bill.
So yes.
We are at time, so if anybody needs to jump off, please feel free to do that. We will give you information through email, but we're going to let Bill finish this up before we hear from Matt Swain. On behalf of anybody who needs to jump off, I want to thank you. This has been absolutely wonderful. We invite you to stay through the whole presentation, though.
I keep just wanting to go, wow. This is just, wow, so much, such an amazing tool.
It is amazing. So what you can do now is you can go under show more options. And right now it automatically defaults to the records that match any selected interests. So if we update the count with dogs and charitable donors, let's see what this changes to. So it didn't jump a lot, but watch this. Now I can say, show me just those that match my interest. In fact, let's see if I want a few more. That's a little better. Maybe horses, maybe chipmunks or gerbils or goldfish, a little better. Now I can select match all of my selected criteria. So now I can update that, and I've got 22 records that match all of this criteria. So if I needed to be that specific, I could get there. I do want to show you this option as well. I'm going to leave that charitable donor since we had so many. And notice now, I'm going to select under this consumer lifestyles, I'm going to select age, marital status, and presence of children. I'll just grab those three. So I'll just grab some age ranges here. I'll grab single, presence of children. What does that do to my count now? So I forgot to change that. I confused the system by not changing that. So now I've got 31. So notice, as soon as you've selected anything from that consumer snapshot, we consider all of that information sensitive. So we don't give you access to the records anymore. This is the only view you would have, either using a chart, a matrix, or a table. So if you wanted to get a sense of estimated income against age or presence of children, you could certainly do that against a zip code. But we won't show you records anymore at that time. I do get that phone call every once in a while where somebody has selected that and then they wonder what happened to the records. That's what happened. So anything from this category is considered sensitive.
Bill, how often is this information updated?
So that's being updated monthly. And let me give you an example. I used to cover a lot of the southeastern part of the United States, and a lady that I worked with at the Boca Raton Public Library, she'd contacted me one day and she'd looked up her mother-in-law. I don't know what that was about and I didn't ask, but what I did learn was she said, well, I'm looking at my mother-in-law's record and it says that she's into technology and entertainment. I can tell you she is not. And I said, oh, she's not. So she's never bought anything for the grandkids. Oh, I didn't think of that. So it's not such a great tool to look at yourself as it is to look at the collective as it relates to those categories that you're interested in. So yeah, that can skew things, especially if we're looking at just ourselves. And as you can imagine, we're gathering this information through USPS, so we're hopeful that they're correct on that address information. But sometimes, I get a lot of questions from government agencies that say, hey, can you give me a true net number of people who've come into my community new in this last year? I can't, because that would require us to have some type of family ID that would be applied to every record. And that's just, oh, we have something here. Oh, is that my cue? Bill, you're done. Sorry about that. If you should have any questions, Matt, if you would like to take over, certainly feel free to do so. If you have any questions, Matt, if you would put my email information out there for folks in the chat, they can certainly feel free to reach out to me. I also wanted to show you real quick, I'm gonna minimize this guy, where you can find us going to the library. So when you come into the library, You can select it, and then as soon as that populates, it's real easy. You can come right under Research and Learn, and Popular Tools has ReferenceUSA right there. You would click on that, and it's going to, for me, it's going to automatically come here because I was already registered, I was already logged in. But for you, it would ask you to accept our terms and conditions, and then it would ask you to put in the library card number.
And Bill, thanks for that. I would also add, you can access ReferenceUSA directly from the homepage by clicking on the digital library icon that's on the homepage. It's in the green hexagon, and it will take you to all of our digital library resources, which includes ReferenceUSA and a ton of other resources you can get with your library card too.
Do you want to show them that, Matt? Do you want me to stop sharing here?
If you could just go to the library homepage, since you've got the screen, you can show that.
Okay. And there it is. And go where?
And it's right there on the homepage, the 5 hexagons right there, reserve a meeting room, digital library. So if you
Right
click
here.
on that, yep.
Okay.
That'll take you directly to our digital library. You can see all of our tools that we have available, including ReferenceUSA when you scroll down.
Yep. So it's all alphabetized, and you can access all of these. Wow.
And folks, I did put in the chat bar there, info@handleyregional.org. That is one of our main email addresses, and it's monitored during library hours by our information services department. And they can help answer questions around library products, services, ReferenceUSA. They can help you with your library card. Anything you really need that's library related, they can help you out there. It is monitored constantly. And so certainly we invite the community to send in any other information to that email address as well.
And Matt, since it's so hard to capture that information off the chat, because you can't copy and paste, I'll send that information. I'll send you, well, we'll work together to get this information out to everybody.
Okay.
We've also recorded this session, so we will be sending it out or putting it on Facebook or something so that more people will be able to see this. We had about 10 who did not come in. I'm sure they would love this information, so we are going to share it with everybody.
And what did we have for a total?
I think it was 23 out of 30
Excellent.
that registered. Yeah.
Excellent.
Great information. We have Dave Brehat said, great information and can't wait to start using it. And Pam Okimura from ServPro said, great presentation. I needed a refresher, and there are some enhanced tools that are new since I used it last. Thank you.
Excellent.
So we will go ahead and end this presentation, Bill, unless you have something else you'd like to add.
Thank you all, and feel free if you need any assistance. I would certainly be welcome to helping you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming, and I would certainly love to probably redo this, have you again, get some testimonies from some of the people that came on, and invite you again to be part of our lunch bunch.
I would like that, preferably in person. Wouldn't it be great?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
With their laptops, so everybody can be working right along and pull up lists and go at it.
Absolutely.
It was great.
Awesome.
I would like that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. My mind is just, I'm thinking of all these people I need to say, you need to be using this, you need to be using this, or how beneficial I think that watching you narrow down for our nonprofits. What an incredible resource. And again, Matt, you know, that the library system makes this available to our community at no additional cost is just what an invaluable tool. Because I think I was in another presentation with someone recently that a tool like this could cost somebody, if they were on a subscription service, $30 to $50 a month easily, right? And
Oh,
so,
exactly. Yes.
yeah, and so what an amazing give back to the community. Thank you for what Handley Library does, and Bill, thank you for your great knowledge and teaching us how to do it. Looks pretty simple. I'm sure
It is. Yes. You just have to get in and play with it. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Billy, hopefully we'll be able to get back together before the 36th anniversary. Thank you all.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you very much for being
Thank
here.
you, Bill.
You bet.
Thanks, guys.
Everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
We'll see you.
All right. Good job.
All right,
Very
now let me see
cool.
if I can figure out how to look at these results. There's what they were.
Stephanie Schneider or Schneider Steffa.
Surprisingly, only 6 people actually took the survey.
Huh.
I think it just
I
probably
only
caught
left-
everybody up.
Only left it up for 60 seconds.
Oh,
I couldn't vote. I guess if you're a host, you can't vote.
oh, I was able
Oh,
to.
well, we had 6 hosts, so
Well, everybody was there. Looks like a good success, so.
Yeah.
Surprising the amount of
think we
people
can-
that need a library card.
Yeah, so it's funny that number 2, do you need a library card so you can access Reference USA? It was split 50-50, yes and no.
So at least 3 people from the call should be joining the library soon. So,
Yeah, I'm
But
gonna
I'm just
put
wondering-
information together and the video and send it to everybody that was here today
good.
with the links. I'm sorry, Dan.
Oh, no, that was, I just said it was, the library card thing was funny, split 50-50, that's all.
Right. Yeah, good job. Thanks for being on, and Billy, thanks for facilitating.
yeah, really good music, good entry. I liked it. Really love that slide. That's just so cute.
Oh, with the
Guys,
tray
high
thing.
five. See y'all later.
This.
Well.
All right. Air
See
5.
you guys.
Bye.
All right, bye.